So, welcome, Maureen.
Hi, Tania.
This is my great friend, Maureen Fearon, who is an expert in so many areas, But one of the major areas she's an absolute expert is in helping people gain confidence. So, because we've had many a chat, haven't we?
We have indeed.
And especially about, I'll pull that back a little bit as well. This is a quickie with me and Maureen. Yeah. Just a 5-minute little chat on something that's so important to therapists. What makes a big difference between those who become successful and those who don't. So I would say that's mindset, isn't it? And confidence, Maureen. So maybe you'd like to put your view on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the core elements of my whole journey through EFT, using EFT and doing everything that I do, one of the core elements is confidence, because it allows you to take the brave steps. It also allows you to get out of the situations that don't go the way you expect or plan. It allows quick thinking. And it, as well as anything else, it feels great to just be comfortable and be resourceful. So to me, confidence is about simply being comfortable and resourceful in all that we do.
Yeah, and I think you look at the field that we're in, even running a business, a therapy business, you continually come across new challenges, things you've not done before.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, you got to have the confidence to go through that, haven't you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even as simple as every year, for people when they go online and they change the tax forms every year, so many people have big wobbles around that time, right through to talking to a client, talking price, stating the prices that we charge and feeling comfortable and good with that, as well as dealing with the most challenging of client situations at whatever level. It's so important, and it's a human gift.
Yeah, and I would say your point about fees and how much a person charges, I see that rife right across the therapist field. So many people have issues with that. They're not able to ask for what they want for their services, and in fact often undercharged dramatically and therefore don't necessarily get valued. So what do you do with that, Maureen? How do you work with that particular issue?
It goes down to a program, a pattern, a link to something that happened in the past where it might have created a belief system or an unconscious pattern that just makes you go really uncomfortable and not be able to do it. And the beauty is, and I experienced it many years ago as a trainer, and it was the first time that I charged £1,000. Yeah, £1,000 for a day. And lots of business networkers that I was networking with and business coaches were saying, oh, you're too cheap, because I used to charge £500 a day. And the very first time I came to speak 1,000, inside I was crumbling, thinking, oh my God, the world is going to fall in on me. And they said, and how much will this be? And I said, well, you'll be pleased to know it's only £1,000 for the day. And they went, oh, we thought it'd be more than that. I'll always remember it. Always remember it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we can, without us knowing it, we can build up a big fearful scenario, and it becomes very uncomfortable and difficult. And it quite simply doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that the reason why you actually increased your fees is because of the pressure of other people saying you're charging too little,
It was, rather than be at the time, this is going back to 2005, rather than doing what is appropriate, because even then £1,000, like the client said, oh, I thought it'd be more than that, and it's like, oh, really, how much more? And so and it was about how I felt. My fees were about how I felt, rather than, and the beauty at the time was, especially say for example in the EFT, and luckily I always had a good level of charge, but before I became an EFT therapist, I worked one-to-one as a coach, and one-to-one as a coach I didn't charge enough, but I felt kind of comfortable and it kept me in the rut, because I knew plenty of others that charged so much less. So I wasn't that bad. So I could always kind of like give myself an excuse.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, obviously, I missed out on an awful lot of income. And a lot of people will think, right, okay, that's cheap. What do you get for cheap? So I wouldn't recommend anybody goes in those directions. Learn from the mistakes of people like myself and this is business.
Yeah, absolutely. This is business. And what I would say is, I think it was even Gary Craig who mentioned this, because he actually, when I went over there many years ago to his place in America, which he very kindly ran a training course for a group of us, he mentioned the psychology of selling and a specific book he told us to get. And in that, I think it says that, if you charge too low, people think you're rubbish. And that's not a good feeling. Yeah. When you realize that people are looking at your fee and looking at the other people around the area and then thinking, well, they must be rubbish. So this is how much I kind of want to spend. So I'll go to this one because they're better. Then you realize that's happening, and it does not feel good when you make that realization, because you're putting all your time, effort in, you want to be really good, you do a really good job, and somehow you've kind of sabotaged yourself.
Completely. And there's another aspect of that as well. You can have somebody, for example, that has worked in sales, used to work in sales, used to sell advertising for the Exchange and Mart, if you've ever heard of that. And so I've had a background in selling, didn't really enjoy it, but I've got a background in selling. But when it came to being self-employed,
yes,
so I could sell for an employer. If somebody wanted me on board to help them in their business and sell, I could do that. But then when it came to myself, promoting myself, there were some stuff that I had to shift to be able to be comfortable and proud and feel good about selling myself. So just having the salesmanship alone doesn't save you because there might be some work to be done when the difference that makes the difference when you're processing your company, selling you and your company. And a lot of people, if they've got any little skeletons in the cupboards from the past of beliefs, or people telling you that, you'll never make anything of yourself, or whatever it might be, they can be ironed out. And once they're gone and you're on that beautiful path of comfortable, it's just so lovely.
Yeah, and I've seen that so many times, that people can sell for others. They can thrive when they're working for a company, and then they set up their own business, and that's when suddenly they realize this brick wall in front of them as regards to charging. I've seen it a lot of times. And and what I would say is, what it is in our business, we're offering value. Yeah, we're offering really transformation and quality of life, really. And at many levels, that's invaluable to many people. And people, there are many other things out there which I would say people would pay for that don't actually work. And they pay like head over heel for it, yeah. And yet our stuff works, so we have to value what we're doing. But it's about that mindset, getting that in alignment with what you're doing, because I think when you value it, when you charge the right amount of money that's comfortable, well, I wouldn't say comfortable, because sometimes people use that word comfortable and it's because they can't charge up here. I just need enough. That's a block, actually, isn't it? I just need enough, or I just get enough. It's a block. Yeah. What you're looking at is about thriving in life, and at many levels, but we're offering value, real value for what we do. So I think it is about charging a fee that people respect you and respect what you do, and then they respect the technique and the results they get. So I mean.
And I've coached many people, not just in our industry, because I've been doing this now for many, many years, across other areas, and got them to, tips for people out there: create the script. So when you talk, create a script, practice, rehearse it, and of course, tap any discomforts out there, and get really prepared so that when those situations come, you just float through them. It's just the norm. Because otherwise, if you think, it comes to price, then you want to, be able to comfortably, otherwise people pick up on it. And, you know, if you dependent on the negotiations, so some of the negotiations, because I'm working at corporate, and you've got a wide variety of prices up and down corporate. I've come across, you know, a 2.5-day training course. Sadly, it wasn't mine. 2.5-day training course for 15 grand. A 2-day training course that was over 20 grand. And it's kind of like, I want them. How did they get to and was it good? And I remember the 15 grand one, and I was saying, and it was like, because it was like, guess how much? I went, go on. I went, and no. I said, was it any good? He said, well, it was all right. Like, all right. The feedback that we get is loads more than that. So we want to be able to truly get what is the market rate out there and what we deserve, but also talking about it. And over the years, I've had lots of challenging situations where I've discussed price. So, for example, people like to compare us with the NHS services, which are free. And often it's like, how did that work for you? And it's like, there's a question to be answered. But that isn't free, because that counsellor, that psychologist gets paid for. Their accommodation, the heating, the lighting, everything gets paid for. It just doesn't come to you. However, this is about results. What is it that you value? What is it that you're wanting? And being able to get really comfortable with all those aspects of the pricing discussion, so that you're able to talk without conflict, with a smile, and be able to give the client what they need to be comfortable and to go with the flow.
Yeah, and absolutely there. And I want to say, you made a really valid point about if people were to compare us, as in they could go to the NHS and get, but they can't, you see, they can't. And that is why I have always worked in the private area, because what you're looking at is, and the reason for that is, I don't want to be constrained by what techniques I'm allowed to use with you, because I want to use the techniques I think are going to get you that best result and the fastest result. So at that level, you know, that's why I like the freedom to decide, all right, what's going to help this person the most. So, you know, what I just said is that kind of way you would put that across, isn't it?
So many different ways. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, it's your choice. It's your choice. What is it you're wanting, and when do you want it? They want a result, and they want it now. And that, you know, beautifully, that is the society that we live in, especially when we're hurting, and quite right. Yeah. We want relief, we want healing as soon as possible. And that is what our sector gives us, you know, and the ocean of business out there is huge.
I'd also put that as a very, absolutely. And I'd also say here, when you come into that point you made about the NHS, what was I going to say there? I think it's slipping my head now.
Back to you.
It is about the results. And I was going to say this. I never get anyone who says that to me, actually. They never come here and say, well, I could get this for free, because what I'm looking at is I think what, you know, if they see you as an expert, and you put across you're very confident, I don't really think you get into that discussion in the first place.
No, but you want to be prepared. I haven't had it for years, to be honest. I don't get those conflicting conversations anymore now. It's a shame, because I enjoy them now that I can respond to them in a really useful way. But years ago, when for example, I used to go networking, if I went networking or to NHS conferences or business conferences or whatever, that in those kind of discussions, it would come up. But again, I've not had it for years, which is a great shame, because I do enjoy it now. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like when I teach people how to stand up to bullies, and the warning is they'll probably start leaving you alone, and you might miss it, and you'll create all of this toolkit, and you might never need to use it. And it's like, no, we're quite happy.
I just think it's standing your energy and your vibration, standing your own empowerment, and you know, you tend to attract the right things to you. So it is about building that confidence, you know.
It is. And when you've got that confidence, everything about you is different. Because it's if you imagine it's your core, and how confident your core is, everything attached to it operates according to that core. So we know that, you know, they tell us that people can sniff out fear.
You know?
And so if they can, and it's kind of like, oh, we've got any hesitation, but also our positive energy draws people in. People like confident people. I wouldn't want to go to a therapist who isn't confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a program on television, and there was a psychologist on. It was one of these, who was it for? A Fred West program, and had this guy, and I was observing, thinking, why are you portraying that you're in shock and scared? Because as a professional, that is a really bad look.
Well, we don't do that, do we? You see, therapists generally, they don't react, do they, to things like that? You know, they don't have that kind of shocked and scared thing going on, because that's making a judgment of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like taking your car with a bit of a problem, and you know, the problem with the cars, you turn up the radio and that fixes it. When that doesn't work, you take it to a mechanic. What do you want? The mechanic goes, right, what is it? Right, yeah, I'll sort it. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, leave it with me. Or do you want the ones that go,
I certainly wouldn't want that one. Yeah,
I know. And beautifully, because we're so, I feel that we're so lucky to have these tools, because we're able to get those most effective, efficient results in the fastest of times. I just hate seeing people suffer.
Yeah, I know. And you put a lot of time and effort in helping people to build that confidence. Well, I'll say thank you here now, Maureen, for this. I know you run a lot of courses on stuff like this, but I think, yeah, some excellent work you're doing. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Tania. Thank you.
Thank you.